It's been another injury-filled week as we wrap up the first month of NFL season, heading into NFL Week 4. But we have got a lot to talk about today, including, of course, my usual run-through things here on Friday. We'll look at projections and ownership projections. We'll then optimize some lineups, sim some lineups, handbuild the lineup, do an Underdog Battle Royale, and an Underdog Pick'em here on stream. We got it all going today, and let's get into it, guys. And a big news item today. This has been a recent projection update from Stochastic, which changed. It was previously Kyler Murray, the man to thumbnail, top projected player of the week. Instead, it is now number one, Jaden Daniels, top projected player of the week. So he's projected to have about 20% ownership on him. And of course, if you guys know, if you've been following the channel for basically since the moment we started doing draft previews in January, I am the biggest Jaden Daniels bag holder in the world, the biggest believer in the world. I did not expect it to become the Jaden Daniels chalk fest this fast, but you go nuts. You have basically a perfect passing game of Monday Night Football against the Bengals team that everybody thought would roll over the Commanders. Jaden Daniels, though, the chalk of the week here with a 22.4 projection and the best value on the slate, or one of the best values of the slate as well, at a $6,500 DraftKings salary. Shout out to the chat as well. Appreciate all you guys being here. Appreciate all the chats as well. Yesterday, the comments from you guys was one of the more commented videos we've had in a while, as people showed some love for my dearly departed dog Penny, and I do appreciate that from you guys. So thank you for the kind words. I'm not going to try to dwell on it too much today, even though it is constantly in the back of my head. That's how grief goes, guys. Kyler, but I do appreciate it from all you out there who did reach out. Kyler Murray, 22.3 point projection on him, another top value on the slate. Again, he'd be the pivot point theoretically to Jaden, but with both guys being so highly projected, it feels like they're just going to both be the chalk plays of the week. The likelihood for a shootout here seems pretty high. This game total's actually come up throughout the week as well in Washington, Arizona. Let me just look at the number real fast. So we're up to a 50-point total. Washington, a 3.5-point dog. Earlier in the week, it was a 49.5 point total. It's only up a half point, but Washington was a 5.5-point dog. So the total's gotten better for Washington. Total's gotten a little bit less good for Arizona, but basically flat. So throughout the week here, we've seen people flocking to this game a little bit more. And again, it does feel like to me like it should be the shootout of the week, though. Obviously, you know how DFS goes. If it doesn't shoot out, you'll make a lot more money by not going that way. Lamar Jackson, number 3, top projected player overall. That's Sunday. That's Sunday Night Football. I don't know why it just says Sunday. Of course, all the games are on Sunday. Take that out, though. Bijan, number 3, 20.8 projection on him. Jalen Hurts, number 4, 20.8 projection rounded up for him. Likely no A.J. Brown, likely no Devontae Smith this week for Jalen Hurts. Theoretically, more rushing opportunity for him. Theoretically, Jahan Dotson is going to get the work, and if he's good this week, we know he's not totally dead. If he can't get going running Devontae Smith's routes out of the slot, I would say Jahan Dotson's dead, but that's a separate conversation. Breece Hall, number 5, going against Denver, 20-point projection on him, 2.6x value, and a $7,800 salary, so pretty lofty there. Top values overall on the slate, probably going to be Jaden, Kyler, Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, all QBs up top. Paris Campbell getting a pretty good projection here at a $3K min salary. So that's actually kind of interesting here. Paris Campbell could theoretically step in if Jahan Dotson isn't good. Could also just be out there getting some work. Last week, we did see Dallas Goedert step up. Obviously, you would expect Tampa Bay to kind of shift coverage a little bit more Goddard's way to account for the fact the guy had over 150 receiving yards last week. So Paris Campbell feels like an aggressive projection, but Dotson's projection, I think, is dog shit. Yeah, Dotson's a 5K salary, 7-point projection. So maybe a cash game play for Paris Campbell. But I think Dotson, to me, more of a tournament play because nobody's going to want to play him. Let's look at the top projected players by position to try to establish this as well. I don't know why I'm sorting by position to do that. Just QB. We've seen QB pretty well, but real fast. Jaden, Kyler, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Stroud. So those are your top 5 guys there. Nothing too surprising besides Mahomes being Stroud being added on top. Got to tell you guys, I am personally really down on Mahomes in my fantasy points prop column this week, which I'll link in the comments here. You have to have a membership for fantasy points to read it, which I don't know. I don't think it's the smartest thing in the world for me. But if you guys sign up on there, use the promo code SPAGS25, you get access to my column. And let me see, still up here. Drop it in the chat right now. But I'm doing okay with my picks, doing less well with the prop finder picks on fantasy points. But check it out for yourself if you want to get the other bets that I'm making myself in prop bets this week. Running backs, Bijan Robinson, number 1, Breece Hall, number 2. We talked about that already. Kyren Williams, number 3, going against Chicago. If the Rams somehow steal this game, it's likely going to be from Kyren Williams getting a crush of touches, keeping Chicago off the field, much like they did for the most part with the Niners last week. The Niners were on the field. They were strafing them with Juwan Jennings. So that's how easy it is to score against the Rams. Kyren Williams is kind of the lever to keep that at bay a little bit more, especially with Chicago getting back Keenan Allen. Alvin Kamara, number 4. He's been banged up all week with hip and ribs, I believe, are the two injuries. No, the hip's one of them, but Kamara banged up. Expect him to go here in a spot where I think they'll do a lot better against Atlanta, but one of the higher values here, higher projections rather. And Jordan Mason going to be a chalk play on the week. He's got just shy of a 20-point projection. Salary's probably not up enough, but now, after what we saw last week, people are probably a little more afraid to go there, even though they're still going to go there pretty heavily. Wide receivers, we got Rashee Rice projected number 1 overall. Still think at a certain point, Travis Kelce gets a little bit better, and that naturally pulls Rashee Rice back down. Xavier Worthy being mostly uninvolved is not great either. Don't expect him to get more involved, but if he were to, that also pulls Rashee Rice back down. I think people right now really flocking to Rashee Rice in a game where the Chargers, I think a 9-point dog last I look. But 7 points is where it's at now. Does that move? I thought it was a little bit higher. Well, 7 points on the road for the Kansas City, still pretty big spread favoring them. Chargers D has been good on the year. I just don't believe in the Mahomes stack, as I've talked about enough times. Rashee Rice keeps getting there, so I probably shouldn't poo-poo it as much. But overall, we're talking about 5.6 ADOT for Rashee Rice, 0.7 targets inside the red zone, 0.3 inside the 5-yard line. Kelsey's getting more red zone work. I know you guys love Rashee Rice more than I do. I know the general public loves Rashee Rice more than I do. I'd watch out. I think he's going to get chalky, and I don't expect the Chiefs to have to be pressed in action so much that Rashee Rice is going to be guaranteed this game, which to me looks kind of like a ceiling game for him. His ceiling is not, it's not that crazy. He's really high on DraftKings this week, but I don't see it personally. Justin Jefferson, number 2, projected overall, higher price point. Seems like a tournament pivot here. So we're going to flock to Rashee Rice with this projection and this dollar point at 7,300. Jamar Chase at number 3, 7,700 for him. Decent projection, but pretty far behind Jefferson, pretty far behind Rashee Rice relative to how that goes. Nico Collins has been banged up as well. So Tank Dell is going to be out, it looks like. Nico Collins should benefit in a matchup for him, where a lot of man defense played by Jacksonville is something that Nico Collins has killed on the year. 5.6 yards per route run, 37.5% target per route run against man defense. And on the year, Jacksonville's playing man 43% of the time, giving up flat 0 EPA, but still not good for the most part when you're playing man defense. We saw him get strafed by Buffalo last week in large part because of that man defense. So to me, Nico Collins had a good matchup. Hopefully he will go. There's some weird Twitter reports out there from people that aren't actually reporters saying that Nico Collins is going to be limited. One of them I saw, they talked about his hamstring and spelled it ham space string with both the H and S capitalized. Like, it's not really the credible source you're looking for if you're expecting Nico Collins to be out. I think he goes this week, but trending the wrong way here in the back half. And Marvin Harrison at number 5 here, 16.7 point projection. He probably goes a little bit less owned. I think that putting him in a lineup either with Kyler, with Jaden, that game to me shoots out this week. So if people aren't going to play it enough because the projection sucks, I'd rather be there. Cam Akers chalk again. It doesn't look like it, no. Mixon hasn't practiced all week, so Akers should be okay. A decent projection on him, but I think people saw the workload not be exactly where they had hoped it would be last week. But Akers played how many snaps? Akers played 29 snaps last week. Darian Gubawale played 28. So it's not really a full workload for Akers, but he won't be quite as owned. It looks like Stochastic. Actually, no, Stochastic loves him a lot. We'll look at the ownership in a moment here, but they look like they have him at about 23%. We'll look at that when we get to the optimizer, Tyler. I don't know. Tight ends real fast. Probably less RBs in Flexo than last week. Goddard, number 1 overall, the big usage bump for him. I think he will chase that game in a big way. I still think the move, it's tough because Goddard's projection is going to look almost double as much as Jahan Dotson, and you'll have the value for Paris Campbell. But I see the same price point. I see a player that people don't want to go to, and my assumption would still be that Jahan Dotson just becomes the slot if Devontae Smith can't go. So I think there's a very obvious pivot point for Dallas Goedert, but people are going to play him probably as one of the most chalk. Brock Bowers here at number 2, 12.9 projection on him. Travis Kelce, 10.3, your lever against Rashee Rice. Price tag probably hasn't come down enough for him. At a certain point, though, an outlier game could come. Trey McBride still has a projection on him. If he's out, which he has been out for most of this week, I don't think he's practiced at all with the concussion protocol stuff. If he's out, probably means a lot of his projection gets shifted more towards Marvin Harrison. And you probably see Elijah Higgins, I would guess, come up a little bit more. Maybe Tip Ryman takes a few snaps. Higgins has been playing 27 snaps a game compared to 52 for McBride. Don't know that he gets the full workload. It's been okay. 17% target per out run. 0.92 EPA per target, but one of those is probably because of catching that weird touchdown he caught. But McBride being out would probably open up Higgins a little bit more at 3,100. Don't know that it'd be a good play, but he'd probably be an under-owned play. And Dalton Schultz at number 5, decent projection on him. Surprised to see him ahead of Kyle Pitts. Gesicki, as I talked about earlier in the week, basically splitting snaps with Eric All. Gesicki, when he's in, it's a dead giveaway. It's a pass play overall, so they do use Eric All a little bit more, can block more reliably. But Gesicki's got some theoretical upside. Schultz, maybe a little bit less so, but should gain a little bit if Tank Dell is out, as seems like it's going to be the case. Let's go to ownership over here. Make sure we got the most recent one, updated 16 hours ago. Yeah, they updated projections recently, but not ownership projections, unfortunately. We got Jordan Mason, number 1 overall, 37%. Houston using Stover and Cincinnati using All, Cap both potentially, but yeah. I don't think Stover was on that much. I think he had the one play. Let me confirm that, though. If Stover played 19 snaps, which was up from 14 the week before, 15 in week 1. Schultz played 64. I don't think Stover is really impeding Schultz that much. And I think a lot of the snaps that Stover played were with Schultz on the field. So I think that would be, I think that's not the way to do it. All definitely directly caps Gesicki, but I don't think Stover caps Schultz, at least yet. So chalk plays here. Jordan Mason, 37% projected ownership overall. Deontay Johnson, 30% overall. So he'll be a chalky play with Andy Dalton looking good last week. Hard to argue it. Going against the Cincinnati team we just saw get strafed as well. The pivot point for Deontay would, I guess, be the run game. Maybe Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders cobbling together some way to keep the Bengals off the field. I guess Leggett could go off theoretically. Mingo, hard to imagine him really going off. Tight ends there, pretty chopped up with Tremble, Sanders, whatever else they trot out there. So, yeah, I don't know. Deontay to me seems like a solid play. But if I had to guess, he's the kind of play where if he doesn't smash this week, probably takes you out of the running for tournaments if he puts up, you know, let's say 15 to 20. That might not be enough to get there. 20 might, 15 would not. Bijan Robinson, number 3, 25% projected ownership against New Orleans. That feels kind of lofty to me, especially that Breece Hall projects so well. Cam Akers, number 4 here, so projected to be chalk once again, 23%. As our guy SCL Bree pointed out, game script was bad for Akers last week. Akers himself, I really don't know how I feel about Akers. I kind of faded him last week. That worked out. Not the most confident in him having a full mix and workload, especially some of the pass game work flown away. When he's running routes, he's targeted roughly the same amount as Mixon, 27% target per route run compared to 28.6%. 3 red zone intended touches a game for Mixon compared to 1 for Akers, but that doesn't include the games where Akers is playing backup. Really inefficient by Akers, though. Negative 0.5 EPA per rush is really bad. Negative 0.2 EPA per play is really bad. The good news, the Jacksonville defense does suck against the run. 0.09 EPA. Anytime you see a positive EPA given up by a defense, generally one that you'd want to attack to some amount. Obviously, it still comes down to the RB value first and foremost. Like, I don't think Akers is a bad play. I mean, Jacksonville's really fucking hapless right now. You play the Jacksonville stack and don't play Akers, maybe a Nico bring back or a Diggs bring back. That seems more interesting to me as a tournament play. But I think Akers will be fine. I'm sure I'll have some Akers. Rashee Rice, number 5 overall, 21%. And Jane Daniels not too far behind with 20.3. Ownership by position. We'll go through real fast here. Then we'll get to the optimizer. QB, Jaden, number 1. Kyler, number 2. I really am not sold that Jaden's going to be 20% owned. I think he ends up closer to 15. Like, I think 15 for him is a lot coming from being around like 5 to 8% the last couple weeks. Like, doubling that to me feels like enough. Emmanuel Wilson, Tyler, you're giving me some takes, man. You feel like we're usually not too far off. Emmanuel Wilson, I thought, was kind of fluky last week. He looks better than Josh Jacobs, but Jacobs is getting so much work. I have a hard time buying into that. But I guess, I mean, look, he looked great last week, but I think that was kind of a one-game outlier. He's getting about 9 touches a game, which is a little tough to play over a guy like Akers who's going to get you likely 15 to 20, you would think, as long as the game script's okay. Burrow, number 3. Stroud, number 4. Jalen Hurts, number 5. Fields, price tag's coming down. I think it's kind of an ugly matchup. And Indianapolis has given up a lot of pass game production on the year. So you can see the logic in going for Fields here and getting away from this price point, because you're going to see, look at the numbers here about projected 42% of ownership having QB in the $6,500 to $6,800 range. Tack on CJ Stroud, we're talking now almost 50% of the field here, being around that 6,500 to 7K range. So when you see stuff like that, it tells you how people are going to build. And normally it's not this clean to lay it out. If you go to Fields, Andy Dalton, you're in an entirely different construction. So I think that's kind of appealing. RB. Let's go to that next. Top-owned RBs. We know Jordan Mason. We know Bijan. We know Cam Akers. We saw Kyron in the projections. He's at 19% projected ownership. Again, him going nuts last week. People will think that's the pathway for the Rams to win. I'd probably rather play the Chicago side, but I do think the Rams will force-feed Kyron touches because right now, it's really the only way they can stay competitive in games is keeping the team off the field, getting Kyron some efficient work. Chuba Hubbard at number 5, 18% ownership for him, and Breece Hall with the high dollar point at him, 17% ownership. Okay. Wide receivers, Deontay Johnson, Rashee Rice, Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, Brandon Ayuk are your top 5 here. Deontay Johnson, number 1. Nico, I think the projections still have Tank Dell in. So as a result, if Dell comes out and Nico can go, I think Nico comes up in projection. As a result, might be the chalk play of the week. It's going to be close with him and Rashee Rice. I think a lot of teams this week potentially might be built with this Nico, Rashee Rice, Deontay Johnson core because it's only going to get more appealing when Tank Dell's officially ruled out. Brandon Ayuk probably going to go the other way if Deebo Samuel makes it in. This week, Deebo and George Kittle have started to practice again. Kittle says he feels great. I think it's for sure to go. Deebo, maybe a little bit better than a coin toss that he goes. But if either of them go, Ayuk needs to come down. And maybe he becomes a better tournament play as a result. But right now, he does project to be the number 5th overall owned receiver. And Juwan Jennings not too far behind as well. Hammy could shift ownership off Nico maybe. I'm not sold on that, though, if Tank's out. I think people will just kind of suck it up and go with it. Q-Tag does drive ownership down, but like if we know he's good to go by tomorrow, I don't think it will. The Q-Tag drags into start time, you probably see Nico ownership come down a little bit. Like if he were a game time decision, that'd make Nico come down, but it's a 1 o'clock game. So I think Nico holds the ownership no matter what, but it's certainly possible. Tight end, chalk again, Dallas Goedert. Number 2, Tucker Kraft at a $3K minimum salary. Why Tucker Kraft? No, he's getting work overall compared to Musgrave. 42 snaps last game, which is a low for him. Musgrave, 35 snaps last game, which is a high for him. Kraft is a trap. Kraft is unequivocally a trap. Musgrave snaps have gone up every week. Krafts have gone down every week. So first of all, your best ball Musgrave shares are probably not dead. Second of all, this is bad ownership if that's the case. I don't think Kraft gets owned 10%, but if he were to, that's not good. He's not going the right way snap share wise. Mike Gesicki, 9% for him. Again, it's talked about. Eric All is killing him. Eric All is going to kill him on game situations where it's not completely obvious they're passing. So Gesicki, to me, a little bit of a trap. This is a dog shit tight end slate. Holy shit. Tommy Tremble at number 4. Tremble last week. Of course, the Andy Dalton bump going to help. Tremble played 64 snaps last week. Where's Jatavian? Jatavian, 26, which is his second highest. It's kind of trending down, though. I can see the logic for Tremble theoretically. I don't think the role is that good for him, unless he's got some underlying stats I'm not aware of. Tremble, negative 0.14 EPA per target, 3.5 targets a game, 22% target per out run, so maybe benefits a little bit from Thielen not being out there. No red zone targets. I don't know, man. Tremble. This is not good. This is really bad. Zach Ertz, I don't mind. Revenge game for him, even though all the former Arizona guys are downplaying it. Zach Ertz, a lever against the very own Terry McLaurin. Ertz overall, the workload's been there for him. At a certain point, I do think Sinnott flips him, but that's not been anywhere near the case yet. 42.3 snaps per game for Ertz, 0.78 EPA per target, 24.5% target per out run. No red zone targets yet, which was surprising given that they talked about that being his role. Yeah, Ertz to me, I would take Ertz over Tremble, Gesicki, and Kraft very frequently. Brock Bowers going against Cleveland. We saw Cleveland get strafed last week. Devontae Adams, rumors floating around again about him being discontented, maybe getting traded. Brock Bowers, I think, probably the highest upside play, especially if Trey McBride can't go, which we assume he can't. Man, this is fucking stupid. Top owned defense is real fast because I know that doesn't matter for some of you guys, even though you should just play whatever defense an optimizer gives you for the most part. Rams D is getting fucking killed by everybody. They're the chalk. All right, 2,800. People hate Caleb. I think playing Chicago stacks more appealing. Raiders D also kind of sucks. Deshaun also sucks, but doesn't suck so bad he's giving games away this year. Texans D against Jacksonville. That one I could see. 3K salary, those a little bit high. Jets D against Denver. Bo Nix, one of the lowest totals of the week, even though he had a great game last week against Tampa Bay. And Packers number 5 here at 5.5% ownership. This is a slate where really I think you can get away with some low-owned takes because the chalk, I do not agree. Not agree with the chalk. I really do not. Here's Seb said, enjoying the shade. I'm not trying to give shade. Look, I think the thing for me is I always say with stochastic data and stuff is like, I think their projections represent what the median, view of the field's going to be. A lot of people use the projections and all that, but like sometimes I think they don't know what they're doing in the early parts of the year. Like so to some extent, especially with players where it's like a little bit hard to pin down. But that's a lot of, it's a lot of bad chalk. It's a lot of chalk that I don't agree with. You got to play some of it for sure, but yikes. Top 5 DFS streams, Splash Play, 1 week season, Stochastic, Ship It Nation, DFS Army. All right, I'll take it, C40. I don't know that I agree with it. I'll take it. All right, let's look at the optimizer here. And of course, we can look real fast at the ETR projections. Top projected players on the week. Kyler Murray, Jaden. So ETR is Kyler a little bit ahead of Jaden. Stroud number 3 for them. So they are actually saying Stroud should go nuts here in a way Stochastic is not. Breece Hall a little bit higher on ETR. Nico Collins a little bit higher on ETR, probably because they already took Tank Dell out. Top owned players according to ETR's numbers: Jordan Mason number 1, Deontay number 2, Rashee Rice number 3, Cam Akers number 4, Bijan number 5. So very similar to Stochastic projected ownership as well. What we're going to do right now is run an unencumbered optimization. So basically not asking for anything to be put on in terms of stacking, in terms of boosts and all that. But just see what the projections drive people to naturally the most. All right, so you're getting Brian Robinson. So actually ETR giving Brian Robinson a pretty good boost with Austin Eckler out this week with a concussion. Seems like ETR also has Higgins in now for McBride, and they have a decent projection on him at 9 points. So your optimal lineup right now as of Friday at 11:24 a.m. on the East Coast: Jaden Daniels, Najee Harris, Jordan Mason, Nico Collins, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Ayuk, Eli Higgins. We're close friends. Eli Higgins, Elijah Higgins, Brian Robinson Jr., and Rams D. Like I think Caleb sucks too, but the Rams D is objectively really bad. We'll talk more about it on the data deep dive video for premium members here after this video, where I go game by game, show you guys my data sheet and walk through it all. But the Rams on the year giving up 0.29 EPA per drop back, 0.35 EPA per pass, 0.13 EPA per rush. The red zone, they clamp down the run, but don't clamp down against the pass. 0.64 EPA in the red zone passing. There's like another layup spot for Caleb Williams. And granted, last week, he fucked up the layup spot a little bit against Indianapolis, but did create enough production for himself. I think he did make the Millie Maker winning lineup, right? So it was him and Odunze and Komet, I think, that made it. So he got a double stack there in a similarly good matchup. I think Rams D is a fucking huge trap. Right? I think it's a huge trap. Ownership right now, or rather optimizer ownership, 100% of lineups getting Deontay, Nico, and Brandon Ayuk. So if Debo comes in, Ayuk comes out. I don't see any way right now that Deontay Johnson and Nico Collins would come out in terms of the optimization being in everything. You're getting a lot of Jordan Mason, a lot of Elijah Higgins, a good amount of Jaden Daniels here. So ETR likes Jaden Daniels, likes Higgins, and likes Nico, Deontay Johnson, and Ayuk tentatively, and Jordan Mason too. So you can see kind of the obvious core here of what ETR is building. And let's see real fast. See if we can do an ETR sim. They don't have any good tournament lineups built out. I'm not going to do the sim on here. We'll just do Stochastic. Let's see if they have enough built out. Import settings. So I always talk about here for my solver settings, and actually put up the solver ad. Check out the solver, link in the description for yourself. And again, all the affiliate links here, Stochastic, 15% off the promo code SPLASH, solver affiliate link down below. All that goes to support the show, guys. And I got to be real with you guys. Your support goes a long way here because I'm locked in to doing this. I'm thinking about doing something for NBA similar to Splash Play, just an NBA specific version every day for that too. So if you guys show up right now, use these affiliate links, it'll give me a pretty good cosign here. And if you're interested in NBA content, let me know too, because I think I sort of need to do some customer interview stuff on that. But here's how I approach my stacks here. QB boosts, if you're playing whatever QB, boosting the wide receiver and tight end by 25%, boosting the RB by 10%, and then boosting the opposing RBs, wide receivers, and tight end by 10% on the solver. And let's see what we get. Let's do high variance just so it'll go faster. All right. Optimization going. We're going to send these lineups out in ETR as well as best we can. Guys, subscribe down below. Hit that like button. Leave a comment if you want to see the next part of the stream, part 2, which I think is really where the EV is going game by game and me talking about all the data and forcing myself to kind of comb over everything a second time. You're going to be automatically redirected after this video, but join down below for $4.99. And it does support the show. It gets you premium content, including my actual data sheet for yourself. I put a copy of it on office.com and everybody can take a look at it. So I try to add real value here to my members. So to my members, to the community. That's probably a better way to say it. I add value to my member every day as well. Pair them with James Conner with Cardinals D. Cardinals D is not going to get to Jaden. Jaden is too clean. Please go for it, Shannon. I encourage you to go for it if you feel it's right, but do not think you're going to get the results, rather, is a better way to say that. You do any MMA DFS? I have before. Actually, one tournament MMA DFS during the COVID lockdown period of things, but not lately. I really care most about NFL and NBA. I can do MLB if I'm being paid to do it. I'm actually very good at doing content for MLB. I don't enjoy the process quite as much. Fucking really gets fatiguing day after day to talk about your fucking ISO. I don't know, WRC plus. I talk about EPA all the time, so I don't know why, but I just don't find baseball to be as fun. Thank you, Ivan. You're proud to be my member. I appreciate that. I summon you guys into duty. I grab my member and I shake it around. I get all the liquid out. All right, let's simulate it here. I don't know why. Okay, so they actually do. No, it's still the same fucking thing where they do like these partial lineup builds in tournaments. I don't get what they do for their main slate. We'll put it into slant again. Not engage 8. Slant. Here we go. So 20,000 entries will compete these 300 lineups against. We'll see what we get in the Sims. Oh, implied ISO. Great. Yeah, or X ISO, right? Ugh. I mean, I get it. Same thing as X. Like, I don't use expected fantasy points for things. I think it's kind of a bullshit stat. Like X ISO, same vein for me, but I get it. Top ROI lineup right now is a Kyler build. So again, keep in mind what the solver does, where if it projects players particularly well, Jaden Daniels in that case, it's going to try to leverage against that because that's what you have to do. Projections set people on one course, and then the way you win tournaments is deviating a little bit off that course. So yesterday we talked about it. Brandon Aubrey looked like a great play according to the Sims, according to the data. What ends up happening is that you flip that, he still makes a winning lineup, but then Greg Joseph becomes a winning captain. So you got to keep that in mind. Projections are a median outcome. That means that half the time they're going above, half the time they're going below. How much they go above and below is going to be relative to the player in terms of the standard deviation. But I think the solver Sims do a very good job leveraging against what their core projections are. So Kyler, Breece Hall, Cam Akers, Deontay Johnson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Elijah Higgins, Jordan Mason, and Texans. So a full Cardinals game stack here. No bring back from Washington, which feels tough to expect nobody to kind of come through here, especially with Eckler out. Like Eckler being out for Washington is quietly really huge because they run those screens to death. So that's something I'd watch out for. Stroud, Akers, James Conner, Deontay Johnson, Nico Diggs, Hayden Hurst, Brandon Ayuk, and Falcons. So a game script I would expect where the Chargers are playing from behind. Chiefs D on the year, not that good against the pass. I can see why Hurst gets in. And I do like the target concentration overall. And this makes more sense to me if you're going to leverage against Washington. Like if you're playing 3 receivers with Arizona, how is Jaden not adding a receiver in? We know Jaden's going to press the ball the most when it's do or die time and he's trailing from behind. That's why I like Jaden a lot as a play this week, even as chalk. But Connor here, that's direct leverage against it. So I like that a little bit more in that first lineup, to be honest. Another Stroud one here. Stroud, Mason, Brian Robinson, Darnell, Nico, Diggs, Tremble, Ayuk, Eagles. It's okay. Purdy one here. This one's not going to be valid. If Debo or Kittle are in, I think they're both going to fuck this up. So probably wouldn't play that one no matter what. Dalton with Deontay. So you're doing the actual stack here. Most people play Deontay naked. You're playing the QB with it. I think that makes sense tournament-wise / game theory-wise. Kyron Williams, Cam Akers, Nico, Deontay, Ayuk. Again, Ayuk's going to be out of this. Higgins, Mason, Eagles. Mason probably takes a little bit of a jump down as well if Debo's in. Though honestly, Mason didn't get any pass game work last week, so I think no matter what, he's kind of the same play. Good game script, he does okay. Bad game script, he doesn't do okay. Like, you don't play Jordan Mason if you're playing Ramondre or fading that game entirely. Caleb double here. So Keenan Allen, I will point out for Keenan Allen, because I know people are going to see last game. People like DJ Moore. Last time that Keenan Allen played, he had 11 targets in that game, including 2 deep targets, 2 red zone targets, 2 inside the 5-yard line. So I think Keenan Allen, if you're going to play Caleb stacks, probably gets slept on a little bit more than he should because he's old, because he's coming off the heel. And I think Keenan and Odunze has some appeal. Keenan with Moore has appeal. This build makes sense. Playing the stack with Kyron is one way to do that. I feel like Najee sneaking in is the one thing that I'm like, about, but no Jalen Warren. I get the logic. Field stack. Fields, Aaron Jones, Najee, Nico, Stephon Diggs, Ayuk, Higgins, Brian Robinson Jr., Bucks. So really the main thing here is that you're getting a lot of Akers, getting a lot of Brian Robinson, a lot of Deontay, and a lot of Ayuk, who I don't expect to hold. Here's a Jaden build. Jaden with Josh Jacobs, which again, I like. I personally, I know I love a guy Tyler. I think he does really good work trying to analyze some edges for himself. I would go Josh Jacobs over Emmanuel Wilson on the week where Emmanuel Wilson just had the one big box score spike. That's me personally, especially with having Love back in there. Love's going to make that offense run a little bit better. Jacobs probably gets less of a crush of volume. The volume gets more efficient. Zach Moss with Jacobs, Darnell Mooney, Brandon Ayuk again. Boy, the fucking Sims right now love Ayuk. It's probably going to change. Would recommend for you guys. Of course, I'll do it again on Sunday. But go check out the solver for yourself, because a lot of this data is going to move as soon as we know that Debo and George Kittle are in. I would guess based upon the amount of Brandon Ayuk you're getting. The Bo Nix stack for direct leverage on the Jets. I don't hate that. I think Bo Nix can be competitive against many teams, and I don't think the Jets are the Jets of the past. And Bo Nix is one of those guys, too, where I talked about not putting defenses against Jaden too much. I don't think Bo Nix is going to fuck things up too much either. Like, those are very efficient players, and efficient players tend to not fuck up quite so much. So I personally, Jets D, I get it, but they haven't been as good. And I think, I don't know, total supports it, but I really do think that Bo Nix will find a way to be competitive. Let's go to Stochastic, though. Let's build some lineups on here. Let's pivot the ad over. Stochastic, 15% off the promo code SPLASH. What we're going to do here is build 10,000 lineups. We're going to those 10,000 lineups compete against each other 10,000 times. So different processes than the solver, where basically they build a pool of representative lineups trying to look like, what the field should look like. I like the thing more. You're just getting to compete against more lineups on Stochastic. You get more control on the solver. You get it easier to be locked and loaded and just put some lineups in on Stochastic. So sort of the trade-off of your two tools here that we're showing you on screen. It's fair and non-derogatory, just following the coach speak about trusted pass protection and split backfield and cost. Let's see. Josh Jacobs still playing more or running more routes than Emmanuel Wilson, 12-5 so far in the year. Wilson getting 1.7 targets compared to 1.3 for Jacobs. Snap count for Emmanuel last week. 26 snaps compared to 33 for Jacobs. I just think having Jordan Love in changes the equation enough, to be honest, because you just don't have to do the little dink and dunk checkdowns that are part of what made Emmanuel Wilson work the other day. But obviously, we'll see. What the fuck? Why can't I build the lineups? That was stupid. Don't fucking, they're gonna make me do it again? Christ. All right. Why would it create the lineups in the first place if I wasn't logged in? Anyway, let's do it again. Throw the football. I'll entertain you guys by making some sick catches. Can I do it lefty? Wow, I'm not a good lefty. Anyway. Stupid. Ruining my stream efficiency. Oh, no, that's a drop. Oh, that's a bad drop. That's a drop that moved my mouse. That's the first time I've dropped the ball on stream. Kill me. How bad can a week go, guys? Oh, you lose a dog. You drop a football. Check out these gams, though. Anyway. We'll survive. Of course, the full version of this video, guys, is going to be coming up on Sunday at 9 a.m. where I do go QB by QB, review every possible configuration with the Stochastic Sim, so stay tuned for that. And the same process we just did, I'll redo it on Sunday at 9 a.m. here as well, so stay tuned for that one. Subscribe, do all that stuff. Yeah, it's literally without a dog. I gotta pet something, right? I do pet my again. I still have my cat. Still have my 20-year-old cat, but having old animals because you got animals when you were in college, don't recommend it to anyone. I will say that. We go 25% to first. We'll see what the Sims give us. How bad can it go? I had 40% Zeke last night. Look, I don't think Zeke was actually a bad play, and I think as that game went on, I think Zeke looked better than Dowdle for the most part. Dowdle had the one touchdown, but yeah, the Cowboys just weren't in position really. That slate was frustrating for me because some of the stuff I said on stream, I should have enacted more. The tough part for me is like when I'm just doing lineups after putting the kid to bed, I am like in not enough of a headspace for game theory, unfortunately. I'm just like, I just got to get my shit in. But Greg Joseph, I was like, I got to force some Greg Joseph lineups. Even played him at captain, but I wasn't smart enough about it. I think I learned some stuff in Showdown yesterday. I'm actually meant to take notes on it, and I didn't because I had some really pristine thoughts last night as I was watching the game. Like, man, I should have done this and this instead of that. But the Aubrey thing was the big one. Brandon Aubrey still made the lineup, but people fucking played Brandon Aubrey at captain 5% yesterday, which is crazy. But that's one of those things where you don't think about it because the data, the Sims are pushing you there. If you just open up Brandon Aubrey's box score on DraftKings, you're looking at 17-point games, 20-point games. So, of course, people are going to play him at captain. And that was stupid on my part. And I love Singletary, and Singletary was so chalky. And I was like, fuck, I'll just play some Singletary. And the reality is if you don't play the running back, play the kicker. You don't play the QBs, consider playing the kickers. Really, sort of the main lessons there. CW, I've caught many balls on stream here. I can drop one ball while trying to one-hand a play. I don't need you to disrespect CW because I dropped one pass. I've been throwing the ball on stream for fucking, again, this entire year. I took this from Scott Hansen last year. It's my first drop on stream. Fuck off. Some guy yesterday was like leaving me comments. And again, this is in a video where I'm talking about my dog dying and how sad I am. And all of you guys, again, lovely to hear it. One guy's like, oh, sick clickbait title. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking talking to me about a title. Like, play these guys for DraftKings. That's not clickbait. People aren't clicking that. They're clicking NFL DFS, lock NFL DFS picks week 4. So number one, it's not clickbait. Number two, it's like you're leaving me multiple comments bitching about this on a day where I'm talking about my fucking dog dying. Like, fucking the autism sometimes. People out there. There, I'll take it. 2024 QJ. Good advanced analytics. Thank you. Thank you. Walk it back, CW. It's okay. All right, we're compiling our results. I got the football. I'm fucking for CW. Oh, look at that. It was off screen, though. All right, hold on. See? Look, I'm serving it up on a plate. If I had 3D here, it's like the Blade and Saw 3D coming right at you. All right. Top lineups here. We'll make the screen bigger because I have to keep doing this. We got CJ Stroud, Brian Robinson Jr., Najee Harris, Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Tutu Atwell. Tutu, I do not buy that. Dalton Schultz, Xavier Hutchinson, and Browns. What the fuck is going on with this lineup? Hutchinson is not the beneficiary of Stroud. If Tank goes out, it's probably Robert Woods. Hutchinson would benefit if Nico's out. So you can't put Nico in a lineup with Hutchinson. That's stupid. I will say, though, if Nico goes out, Hutch probably gets there at free. Interesting to see them push Hutchinson, though. I'm surprised to see that up top. So, Catrick, thank you. I appreciate that. And stand corrected, not familiar with the game. Thank you. Yes, I did play football growing up. I was a wide receiver, defensive back. Should have been a quarterback because I have my leadership skills, my ability to process. But I was like, I like catching balls. So I did that. And I did not get enough playing time at receiver because we had guys who were in the program from middle school. And I joined in 10th grade and made varsity. Stroud, Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, Nico Collins, Diggs, Paris Campbell, Kraft, Akers. I still think Kraft is a trap. Stroud heavy build, though. So you're seeing ETR give you Stroud heavy sims. Stochastic give you Stroud heavy sims. I expected to see a good amount of Stroud heavy sims coming in. So that explains why he was top 5 owned at QB. Stroud with Bijan, Chuba, Nico, Diggs, Paris Campbell, Eric Saubert. Hey, team Eric Saubert. This does not account for Kittle being in, obviously. Jordan Mason, Jets. Saubert had 42 yards in that game. Me coping in hindsight. Jaden Daniels, Jordan Mason, Brian Robinson Jr., Paris Campbell, Stephon Diggs, McLaurin, Goddard, Rashee Rice, Rams. Tell you what, man, if fucking you go to Robert Woods, go to Bobby Trees, you go to Jahan Dotson, you've gotten leverage on a lot of the field here. if it stands like this. Mahomes stack, hard for me to see hitting, but maybe they press it against the Chargers. It's been pretty good. Mahomes, Najee Harris, Brian Robinson Jr., Rashee Rice, Deontay, Juwan Jennings, Brenton Strange, Jordan Mason, Rams. Again, same thing here where Jennings and Ayuk have elevated projections that are not accounting yet for Kittle and Debo getting in. So I would almost throw those lineups out right away. This one's a little bit better. Stroud, Akers, Najee, Nico, Diggs, Deontay, Strange, Mason, Rams. Strange has been quietly very good with Ingram. Ingram's still out of practice, so probably another Strange week. Darnold here. Darnold stack. Darnold with Kyron, Akers, Jefferson, Deontay, Juwan Jennings. Yeah, this fucks it up. No. All right. This will be better to look at on Sunday morning, so let's just kind of skim through it here. We'll look right now at the top ROI players as of Friday. Whoa. A lot of ROI for Xavier Hutchinson. A lot of ROI for Robert Woods. So we are not wrong about that. It does seem like the Sims are saying that one of these guys is going to benefit very majorly with Tank Dell being out. But still think if Nico's in, if Diggs is going to be in no matter what. If those guys are in, they gain the targets, maybe Schultz. But I think, to me, Woods, I get at minimum salary. Hutchinson, I get as well. If Nico's out, though, Hutchinson, I think, gets chalkier. I'd watch out, though, because a lot of 3K guys. This is four. Look, all the ROI guys are 3K guys. This is weird. This never happens like this. So top ROI is Hutchinson at 3K, Woods at 3K, Paris Campbell at 3K, Saubert at 2,700. Again, he's going to go because Kittle's going to play. Sims for Houston at 3K has a 41% ROI. Brenton Strange, $3,100. He's got a 36% ROI. Kraft at 3K. So basically right now, it seems like what this means, and this is actually really important. I know this kind of seems like I'm just talking out my ass here. You see this many guys, like the lineups need a 3K, $2,500 to, let's say, $3,200 guy in them. Because that's what making things work. So if you build a more balanced lineup, you're going to be more unique this week. So look, I'll play one of these guys if we get both Tank Dell and Nico out. But I would say right now, I think the move is just to not play a 3K guy. Or if you're going to play a 3K guy, play somebody else you have a vibe with. If you play these guys, the Sims are going to force them a lot. Allen Robinson, activation signal for Laporta, maybe. I mean, they did activate everybody, but I think that kind of speaks more to Khalif Raymond not getting going, if I had to guess, and Jameson Williams coming back down. But it could be tight ends. They could just go 3 wide, 4 wide. That doesn't seem like how the Lions would approach things. I feel like they normally still go 12 personnel, and they have Brock Wright, right? I think they still have James Mitchell on their depth chart. Let me look at the Lions depth chart real fast. But I think they could still go like 12 personnel without Laporta. No, they don't have Mitchell anymore. I guess they cut Mitchell. They have Parker Hesse as the third tight end now. And he's kind of a classic blocker tight end. Yeah, I don't know. If I had to guess, like the receivers are coming up mostly because they just don't have that third pass catcher they trust. It's overall stack ROIs, highest stack ROIs in QBs +1, Jaden Daniels, QBs +2, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence not too far behind, QBs +3, Trevor Lawrence again, Brock Purdy, Andy Dalton. The Sims want you to buy while there's blood in the streets on Trevor Lawrence. I am very low on Trevor Lawrence. I have been this entire year, so I'm not probably the right person to come to for this. Matchup against Houston, -0.11 EPA per dropback, -0.13 EPA per pass. Not a high completion rate either, a 58% completion rate allowed in the year, which is one of the worst marks in the league. This is not the Trevor Lawrence get well spot. I get the game theory of it. I get why the Sims would go there. This is not the Trevor Lawrence spot, though, to me. All right. Favorites. Where's exposure? Here's exposures. All right, top exposed players according to the Sims. Then we'll then we'll hand build the lineup. We'll do a battle royale. We'll do the pick 'em. I got to speed up a little bit here. That's on me. A lot to talk about this week, though. And of course, video coming up after this one, my data deep dive for the premium members. So join down below if you want to see that one, because that's probably the most important work I do in a given week based on what I hear from you guys. Jordan Mason, top exposed player right now, 59%, even with projected 33% ownership in the pool. A lot of Cam Akers, 51% of him. Bijan, 44%. So Sims are saying these are your 3 RBs for the week. I get it. I get it, I guess. I don't know if I fully agree about the Bijan part, especially. Deontay Johnson, 37%. Rashee Rice, 36%. Paris Campbell, 35%. So he is getting into a lot of lineups here. There was a really, like, I know, Jahan Dotson. I know I've mentioned his name way too many times, but like he's priced really awkwardly, and stochastic people at the very least are going to get forced to Paris Campbell a lot. So, and they still are going to get Dallas Goedert a lot. So to me, Dotson is the tournament play this week. I think it has to be. YouTube sent you with 4 ads in the last 15 minutes. I'm sorry about that. I put balanced on it. I put the same settings I always do, so I don't know why. It's odd. Maybe an error on some kind. Again, it was fucked up. I couldn't export the members before either. YouTube's just kind of fucking up on the back end a little bit right now. Let's see. Anything else to note here? Kyron, Juwan Jennings going to come out. Chuba coming in a lot as the cheap play. Makes sense. Chuba's workload is pretty good. How's Chuba snap-wise compared to Miles Sanders last week? Chuba looked like a new man with Andy Dalton back there, though. Have to give him that. 43 snaps last week for Chuba compared to 31 for Miles Sanders. So he didn't really ice him in the way you'd expect with how he played last week. Maybe he does this week, I guess. All right, let's hand build this bitch. Share this tab instead. Let's go over here. This is a tough one for me because I really think I saw some stuff that's interesting, but I don't think it's going to sim well. I have to put in Jahan Dotson. I feel like I'm doing the thing where I'm chasing best ball bags, but like I just find it hard to believe that you trade for this guy like right before the season when you already have Paris Campbell, you already have all these guys in tow. You have Johnny Wilson, who at that point was, I think, concussed, and they were a little bit worried about him. You have all these guys. I don't know why you trade for Dotson and don't use them in the exact situation in which one would use Jahan Dotson. So to me, I'm putting Dotson in this lineup. It's probably going to hurt the ROI. That is what it is. At RB, we could get direct leverage on the Niners and go to Ramondre Stevenson. If we wanted to do that, very tournament-y play, but only a 15.3 implied total for New Orleans this week. The Niners have been awful against the run game. I have to say that. A 0.15 UPA per rush is legit very bad. Missing tackles on an 8% clip is not that bad. Stuffing the run at 16% of the time is pretty bad. Tackles for loss is 4% of the time is pretty bad. They just lost Hargraves as well up front. I think you still play Mason, though, especially with Debo coming in. But I will say the tournament play would be to directly lever against it and go to Ramondre, I think. But we were doing enough stuff. It's possible he isn't good. He was a first-round pick who we've seen spike like within the last 2 seasons. So I think the ship has gone too far the other way. I wish he were cheaper, but I still think he's a valid enough play just because of getting that role. The slot role for Kellen Moore is one of the best roles in football. Granted, you haven't seen the huge upside with Devontae Smith necessarily. He was pretty good the game before last. Last game got hurt, didn't hit the full ceiling there. And also, Goddard went nuts. But I don't know. I'm not out on Dotson fully yet. If he bombs this week as like the number 1 option, then sure. Jefferson, Chase. I think Harrison has to make this lineup to me. No Trey McBride here, though the Sims are going to have Trey McBride in it, so they're not going to like Harrison as much. Still a play I would go to. I have to make the bet here. I mean, these are my players that I believe in the most. I do think Terry makes the lineup for me. Getting the downfield work, earning more trust and all of that. To me, that's a key part of what we're doing here. I love Jaden. In this kind of game, does Kyler go off? Or do we just get more James Conner? Because like not having Eckler is going to have to make Jaden do more, I think. Whereas Kyler still has Conner able to take enough away in any sort of game script. I got to stick with my boy here. I'm going with Jaden. I hate that he's the chalk of chalk, but for this build on stream here, I'm going to go with Jaden as my QB. And probably I'll play him in whatever Millie Maker lineups I put in, the handful I do. RB2. I think Brian Robinson gets more work. Does he get enough? If Brian Robinson's going to get forced in a lot by ETR. Connor. Yeah, that's the point. That's why Jaden to me was one of the best plays. It wasn't just about him. It was about the entire environment for him. And if they open things up, like that's what we're hoping for. I really find it hard to believe this game doesn't shoot out, but it's also the only, I think the only 50-point game on the slate this week. So not surprising, obviously. Connor would be leveraged against Brian Robinson. I think that Brian Robinson maybe correlates better here. But let's go Connor. They get into the red zone. They punch in some touchdowns. I think that works. I like Nico a lot, but hard to afford him now. Let's go to Akers, I guess, at flex. Tight end. Let's get the defense in before we worry. Or should I just get the tight end? Can't go to Higgins, too. Maybe go to Schultz being the beneficiary from the lack of Tank Dell. Doesn't make perfect sense to me in terms of the football part of it, but it works. Schultz is our tight end, so we're getting direct leverage against Nico. Nico's my favorite play out of all these guys for the record, but the build's pushing me here if I'm going to play fucking Jahan Dotson. And again, Jahan Dotson, 0.02% owned. Like, that's the thing to me with Jahan Dotson. It's not about him as a player. It's that we know he's spiked before, and we know he should be theoretically getting a role in a team that went out of their way to get him. 0.02% owned it's not correct to me. Can the Chargers stop KC? Probably not. That would be very contrarian and be a way to get away from Rashee Rice. Can the Falcons stop New Orleans? Definitely not, I think. Can the Broncos stop the Jets? That's a maybe for me. But I'll go Chargers D. Chargers D's been impressive so far. The issue is I don't think they're getting a lot of pressure, which is really the thing we'd want to go to here. And it's not really a home game for him in LA because a lot of Chiefs fans are going to be in the crowd there. Blitzing 35% of the time, getting pressure 23% of the time. Hurrying the QB like 2% of the time. So they're not getting home. Seem like they're due to get home more. You know, fucking Chargers D might not be it. It's more about the structure than is the individual. That's two players being out, but Derwin James is kind of overrated at this point. Falcons, I just don't see it either. I'll go Broncos. I hate the Jets. I'm okay with this. Broncos D, it's going to be a negative ROI sim because having Dotson in here and not having the two 49ers players they love. That's okay. The lineup that I built here, I'll read it out loud for the podcast. People, we got Jade. Oh, hey, I am shocked it's a positive ROI. Jaden, Jordan Mason, James Conner, Jahan Dotson. So positive ROI with Jahan Dotson. And top 10%, 6% of the time. It's not bad. The win percentage, if that were 6% of the time, we'd feel really good about it. That's not happening very often, obviously. Marvin Harrison Jr., Terry McLaurin, Dalton Schultz, Cam Akers, Broncos D. All right. We got leverage against Nico, who's chalk. We kind of consolidated production for the Niners, who the Sims like. And we got Dotson here to get leverage and all the Philly stuff. So the Sims are okay with it. Surprised the Sims are okay with it, but they are okay with it. All right, Battle Royale time, guys. Of course, Underdog, promo code SPLASH on there. Play your pick'ems, play your Battle Royales, all of which are a lot of fun. Best ball overlay tool, also great for yourself if you're playing a lot of Battle Royales. I am not these days because frankly got smoked last week and I don't want to redeposit Underdogs. We're going to go Battle Royale time. The Derek Carr stacks I was building last week did not work out. May shock you to hear. This week we'll get it right. Play any Leggett? I'm not opposed, but I mean, Deontay has got a much, much better role. But Leggett should benefit from not having Thielen out there. I can talk about it more in the data deep dive video, to be honest. I know, well, I guess, sorry, A-Rod, you're not a paying customer, but I'll talk about it more in the data deep dive video. But Leggett overall doesn't look great in terms of targets earned so far. Most efficient receiver out of all the guys. But he's not like not a play I'd flock to necessarily. No pun intended. We'll do this Battle Royale. We'll do a pick'em. And I'll be back on Sunday at 9 a.m. to do it all again. And of course, premium video coming out for this one, guys. So really, if you appreciate content like this, please support the show. Join now below for $4.99. You get, again, the premium video I'm going to do after this one, going game by game, looking at my data sheet, highlighting the stuff I think is important. You also get that same data sheet for yourself to review on your own time. That was something that last year helped our guy Lateralis win, I think, $50K on an afternoon slate. So that's the kind of thing you do for yourself as well. And of course, the VIP Discord, we're all day long. We're talking about different stuff in there. I feel like our guy Tyler brings good takes in. A lot of our debate back and forth in that channel. So I think you get good stuff. You join the channel. And the biggest thing for me is just supporting the show here, guys, because I'm putting my whole ass into this as best I can and need to get more money in to make this make sense. So your support does go a long way. Promo codes, all that. Stochastic, Solver. Links in the description for all this stuff, guys. And join down below for $4.99. And you'll get immediate access to watch the premium video, which this will redirect you to right after this. We got picks coming up here. Justin Jefferson, Rashee Rice, who again, Sims projections, love old Rashee. And it looks like we are also going to have to love old Rashee. Though I like Harrison more. Like Nico more. This guy can have Rashee Rice. I don't care. I'm going to just get beaten up by Rashee Rice every week. He's the pick right here. He's the chalk pick that would be normally at this ADP. But I would like to, if I can, get two of my favorite players in the week in this one here. And I'm going to be able to do that. So Harrison and Nico is what I wanted out of this group. And I'll do that here. So a Harrison-Nico start. Once we get our next pick in, we'll start to scroll the F down a little bit more, try to get lower owned plays in who are not too far off projection-wise. But in these situations, without McBride for Harrison against Washington, for Nico without Tank Dell against Jacksonville, assuming that he does go, these are plays that I like a lot. So if you get a little bit of a discount on Nico because people concerned about the hamstring, great. $5 well spent, A-Rod, just saying. Sure, I hope so. Hope so for his sake. He snuck in. He snuck in the Battle Royale. Place to pick him at an airport in Texas before heading back to New Jersey on Tuesday morning. Looking great after last night, but took Tampa's kicker over over Greg Joseph. That's terrible, yeah. That's a tough one to expect hit. Greg Joseph went bananas if that's what you took. But Ivan Pick'em sucks. I've realized too that a lot of people get very good engagement out of promoting Pick'ems and also obviously converting promo codes and all that. And yeah, I can't do that because I can't play Pick'ems in PA. I get to build them here on stream thanks to Underdog's coding team. They allow me to build them, but I can't submit them, unfortunately. I also, low-key, now that all the RBs are gone, not a great RB slate, or not one you love. I think Connor makes sense to me here. Jaden went already, I presume? Yeah, Jaden went at 11? Jesus fucking Christ, man. I think Connor looks good. It's weird to do this without Kyler, I think. But I guess we could just say the touchdowns get halved between these guys. So Connor, Harrison, Nico. And we'll see what we do with the last picks here. Got to start scrolling down soon. But I do like potentially one of these plays up top here. Okay, so he does take Brock Bowers. I mean, fuck it. Let's get Rashee Rice leverage. Travis Kelce, tight end. If you're not playing Rashee Rice, I think Kelsey's the move. I mean, Kelce, again, has sucked on the year. Fully understand that. That was my bet going into the year, so I'm feeling good about my initial take on it. But Kelsey's still playing 55 snaps a game, 24 routes. Rashee Rice, 27 routes. There's really no difference there. Just Kelsey's getting targeted 16% of the time, and Rashee Rice is getting targeted 36% of the time. That levels out eventually, guys. And I think, if I had to guess, probably levels out this week. It's a Chargers team that's given up a 16% target rate to tight end. And a 0.5 EPA? No, 0.3 EPA to tight ends. Chargers D is given up. That's a soft spot. If Kelce hits this week, by the way, as Rashee Rice fails, oh boy, I'm gonna be very stoked. All right, we got a Connor, Harrison, Nico, Kelce build here. Got to start thinking about scrolling down more though. Where's Terry going? Oh, Terry got drafted already. All right, good for him. Or scroll down picks. We got Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper. Cooper already paid off his air yards last week. Don't know we want to go back there this week. Higgins, AJ Brown's going to be out. Devontae. I mean, we could do my big bet and just go Hurts and Dotson. could do that because I do think putting Dotson in would get this combo down. I don't know that I believe enough in Dotson to do it. Would he be enough alone to make this lineup unique? I think passing up Rashee, going Kelce will make us unique at those ADPs. Pairing Connor and Harrison will make us unique because people are going to be afraid of that not being the nuts. All right, let's just take Jalen with the first pick. A little tough to scoop him up because he's getting drafted 100% of the time. All these players getting drafted 100% of the time for the most part. All right, McBride officially out. No surprises there. He hasn't practiced all week in concussion protocol. That sucks, though. My highest exposed tight end, Trey McBride, in best ball. Cannot fucking escape these injuries this year at all. So Jahan Dotson's going to outscore Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. This is tough. This is not how you play Battle Royales, if I'm being honest. I don't think. I think the move this week would be really like to scroll down. Because like Caleb's not getting drafted, right? Am I missing him? Oh, Caleb did get drafted. Yeah, Caleb normally not getting drafted. I feel like a Caleb stack is like the low-owned one to me that would stand out. But we're just going to do my bullshit. I'm going to put Jahan Dotson in here. He never gets drafted, probably 1% owned. I think we got low enough owned here. You don't always need to scroll down for the last 3 picks. It's just easier to do it sometimes. So Jalen Hurts, James Conner, Marvin Harrison, Nico Collins. So I do love these 2 receivers. 2 of my favorite plays in the week. You're going to see that when we build the pick 'em in a moment. Jahan Dotson, Travis Kelce. So an interesting team. I don't think Dotson wins money, but I like to just make my teams represent what I feel like the bets are, and that's my bet. All right, let's share this tab instead. Let's go right to our guys we like this week. Let me refresh this because we got some lines not available. About a third of my RB roster as well. Yeah, trust me, as fucking 30% Marshawn Lloyd guy, I'm not feeling great about it. Well, Barkley's line moved 2 yards from the time period that I've been doing this stream. So people betting up Barkley. Nico, do we not have Nico Collins props? They pulled Nico Collins props. Ooh. Why would they do that? Do they not know I need to build a pick 'em on stream? Well, I like Nico Collins at whatever you can get him on. Yardage, touchdown. I think he's one of the best plays in the week. So, okay. Marvin Harrison, higher 71.5 receiving yards. That's it. You got no Trey McBride. Line probably hasn't moved enough for that. So put that in right away. Harrison, higher 71.5 receiving yards for him. McLaurin, same thing for me. We saw him finally get loose here. I think longest reception would also be not bad to go with. I think these both hit, to be honest, but I'll go higher for this. I also, in my fantasy points prop column, which I will link one more time in the chat, use promo code SPAGS25, guys, to get 25% off. And you also get my column every week, and you get data, all their fantasy points data, which does a lot of similar stuff to what I use my Sports Info Solutions data. So check it out, especially if you love the man zone coverage stuff. Fantasy points is a really good job. So promo code SPAGS25 on fantasy points if you want to go play that. Jaden Daniels, higher on 211.5 passing yards. In that column, I took Jaden at 250 because Jaden over 250 passing yards is plus 250 odds, which I think is just a pretty good EV. But for this build here, we'll take Jaden at 211.5. I find it hard to believe in this game that Arizona doesn't put up points, but it's hard to believe as well that we don't see. Oh, okay, wait, it just went down. All right, okay, we got better line. Jaden Daniels, 209.5 is the higher now. James Conner. What do we have for him? Wish we had a TD here, but it's probably minus money, so they won't put that in. 17 rushing attempts. 17 touches I could do. 17 rushing attempts means the Commanders, I think, didn't show up enough. Yeah, no Conner for this one. Saquon got. Is this the week that Saquon finally fails? Probably not. Tampa Bay giving up 0.12 EPA per rush. That is so bad. I hate Saquon so much, man. And if people get really tilted about that, I hate Saquon. It's just not that fucking good. But higher on 78.5 rushing yards for Saquon. He's been efficient this year, though. I should give him credit for that. 0.07 EPA per rush, 0.2 EPA per pass, but a 9.5% avoided tackle rate is just not that good. Christian McCaffrey had a ton of volume last year, and he had an 18% avoided tackle rate because he's actually a good player. Saquon, though, gets blocked well for him, and he's got a big contract, so good for him. Fucking hate that guy. For no particular reason. I guess it really goes down to the USC Penn State Rose Bowl. But I liked Saquon at that point. I hated him when everybody fucking sucked his dick at every corner as he was just mitting his way to multiple years of dog shit after he got, hurt in the league. But that's neither here nor there. You know what? I took a Mahomes under in my fantasy points column this week. What was the line that I took on that? I took him under 235.5 because you got plus 140 on that at FanDuel. So I will definitely go under 252.5. I just don't think the Chiefs end up having to do enough here to press Mahomes into action. If they don't have to press Mahomes into action, they don't. So my final slip here, which we'll try to submit even though I can't do it in PA, the fucking Jaden line is moving over and over again. Harrison, higher, 71.5 receiving yards. Of course, it's splash play. We're doing hires here. Besides Mahomes. McLaurin, 23.5, longest reception, higher. Jaden Daniels, 210.5 passing yards, higher. Saquon Barkley, 78.5 rushing yards, higher. Mahomes, 252.5 passing yards, lower, because we hate Patrick Mahomes and don't think that the Chargers are the game to push him that hard. It's not personal bias. It's because the player's not good usually. So that's my personal bias comes from players disappointing. Oh, good. The line moved again. I would still take it at 211.5 for Jaden Daniels for the record. Does Jahan Dotson have any lines? Just out of curiosity. They don't even make lines for Jahan Dotson. The disrespect. Anyway, guys, let's do it again on Sunday at 9 a.m. So right now, I'm going to redirect you guys to a video here, my data video that's coming up. So I'll do another hour of content on there. But guys, support me here if you can. Show some love. I'm going through it. It's a fucking tough haul, man. This last few years of me, between Football Outsiders, losing one dog, losing another dog, having to move to Philly, fucking turning 40. I'm fucking... I'm not struggling in terms of like my mentals, but I'm like, this has been such fucking bullshit. The variance for me right now is not my favorite. So the thing that helps me is doing the stream every day, showing up with you guys, building this channel up. So show some love, join down below, $4.99, subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. I show up and do the work every day, and I hope it leads to something good at some point. And right now, I feel like I'm just doing the work for the sake of it. So your love, your support, in particular, your financial support goes a long way as I try to build Splashplay to a viable business for myself. Stochastic, 15% off. Again, great way to support the show if you don't want to just be a member, which you should be because you're missing out on shit. 15% off Stochastic. Link in the description for that. Check it out for yourself. Sim products, data products, that single lineup generators, I think like $20 a month with the 15% off. So go check it all out at Stochastic and see all their plans with the link in the description down below. Solver, same thing on there. No discount, but a great tool if you want to hand build and sim stuff out. I recommend that too. Optimizer, combine with Sims. It's a great tool. Check it out from ETR. Been enjoying using that product as well. Underdog, promo code SPLASH. Best Ball Overlay for doing Battle Royale drafts. Promo code SPLASH at bestballoverlay.com. Their tool will help you out for putting in a lot of entries on there. They actually built a lot for that stuff, I think, mostly for themselves, and I think it's been pretty good. But there we go. And gamble responsibly while you're at it. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Premium members coming up on there in a moment. I'll see you guys there. Enjoy your weekends. See you Sunday at 9 a.m. for doing this all over again. The most updated data. Come back for that. But enjoy your weekends, guys. If I don't see you, and good luck. Bye-bye.